Last time we talked about what it means to be a good person. And simple version of that is a good person helps someone else. Okay, and then we talked about the 4 conditions in order to be a good person. In order to help other people, we have to first be independent ourselves. We have to be able to take care of ourselves before we can help others. I can't give food to the starving if I'm starving and I have no food myself. Okay, we have to be productive. We have to be able to produce things, necessities, things of value, like food. We have to be competent. Okay, I can't just want to grow crops to give to the hungry. I have to actually be able to do it. I have to have the skills. I have to be physically able, mentally able, competency. It counts in the real world. And then finally, self-sacrificing. Okay, I have to actually give up some of the fruits of my labor to give to others to be able to help them. Or give up some of my time in order to take the time to listen to someone else's problems, maybe give them a word of advice or encouragement. Okay, so self-sacrificing. And all of that, I think, is just common sense. It's just something we don't consciously think about. I mean, this is stuff we know, though. But the thing is, when we stop and think about this consciously, all of a sudden, things get interesting. Okay, modern society, is it helping young people become independent, or is it making sure they stay dependent? And keep in mind, everything I just said here is the human life cycle, or at least part of it. We start off life completely dependent upon our parents as children. We grow into young adults and we become able to at least take care of ourselves, and then eventually we develop enough skills, we're productive enough, competent enough, and self-sacrificing, and we're able to take care of ourselves and our families. Okay, and thus repeating the cycle. And if we do a good job as parents, we teach our children to be independent, productive, competent, and self-sacrificing. Okay, so again, is modern society helping to ensure future generations, young people, become independent, or is it making sure they stay dependent? I know which one I think. Matter of fact, I don't even know if it's legal to say the word independent in certain places anymore. I mean, seriously. And then we see modern culture trying to extend adolescence indefinitely. Okay, I don't know what that's all about. I've got my thoughts, but so that's at least a direction I think we're failing in miserably as far as what we're doing for the younger generations coming along behind us, not teaching them those things. And I think it's because, well, in part, because so many of us are not those things. And I said last time, I think becoming more of those is the best thing we can do for ourselves in addition to helping others become those things. And I also said something else last time. Up until 5 minutes ago, we called that Christianity, or being a Christian. Okay, that's everything I just said there. That's the simple version of Christianity. All right, that's a big reason so much of this is not being taught now. And then, okay, with the Marxists taking over government, welfare. Is welfare set up to make the recipients, help them become independent, or is it to make sure they stay dependent upon the state? And for Marxists, that's their whole goal, is for everyone to be dependent upon the state. Okay, so I think that's what's behind a lot of what's going on now, not to mention the all-out attack on the family. Okay, this is a big part of the whole family structure here. So what do we do about it? I guess that's my question, and some of you might be fine with this. Okay, but keep this in mind. If you're a Marxist, socialist, communist, well, whatever denomination of Marxist you want to call yourself, okay, taking from the rich and then distributing it to the poor and then keeping the vast majority of it for yourself, does that make you a good person? All right, we just went over everything for being a good person: independent, productive, competent, self-sacrificing. Is stealing anywhere on that list? Okay, so if you're a Marxist, communist, socialist, whatever you want to call it, I'm automatically just discounting you as a good person or even able to be one. Stealing's not on the list. Okay, and yeah, it's not easy giving to others, but that's the self-sacrificing part. And if more of us were that, then anyway, it'd be a better place. Okay, so one thing I got to thinking, our church is teaching this. I'm not seeing it. And churches are teaching Scripture, and that should absolutely be their main focus. And in the past, there was no need, I don't think, for churches to teach any of this because, again, this was just part of our culture. As kids, we learned to be independent. That was part of the process. It's not happening now. Listen, schools, public education, is it teaching students to be independent? Okay, that has absolutely nothing to do with public education now. Public education might teach some students to read. Given the illiteracy rates of high school graduates now, I'm even questioning that. It prepares some for college, and they go on and do great things and become independent adults. I guess it just depends on the student, environment, and luck of the draw. Okay, but overall, for the most part, I don't think schools are doing a very good job at all of teaching young people to be independent. Again, that's a bad word now. Okay, so is that something our churches need to start doing? I think it is. And not only teaching, okay, from a biblical standpoint, independence is a touchy subject here. I think the Lord wants us to be independent, but we should always rely on the Lord. Okay, so that's one of those, I don't even know how to describe that. And there's nothing in Scripture that directly says we should be independent, productive, competent, and self-sacrificing. There's no 4-item list in Scripture that says those 4 things, but I think those 4 things are said in many different ways all throughout the text. All right, so I think that's something churches might need to be teaching now. And not only do I think churches need to be teaching that now, I think that is something that truly could be a benefit to young people. Because I see so many young people now just absolutely struggling in this world. They just have no clue as to how things work. They're not physically or mentally prepared for work. Hence why so many aren't working. Okay, so is that something churches should be helping with? Helping young people become physically and mentally prepared to be productive in work and to create things of value, to be able to do for themselves, and then that allows them to be able to do for others. Maybe some churches already do that. And hey, if you're part of a church that does those things, let me know. Drop a comment below. Name of the church. I'll look it up. I'm curious. But I don't know of any churches that focus on any of that. And so much of that, I think, would be so easy for so many churches to teach because there are so many adults in the churches now that do know those things, are aware of them. The competency part. There are so many members of so many congregations that have actual valuable real-world skills that could benefit young people. As far as I know, there's no class connecting the two. There's no structure in place to, hey, this is, an actual curriculum. All right, so Sunday school's to study Scripture. What if there's a competency school? How to make yourself able to be a good person school. I think that's something that could be very useful. And I guess there's only one way to find out, and that's try it. That's something, I have to run that by my pastor, and maybe that's something my church would be interested in trying. I don't know. Okay, well with that said, and hey, I haven't thought this through. Well, this is on the fly here. Okay, with that said, what would that look like? What would a curriculum, a however many week course, 6 weeks, 6 months, 8 years, what would that look like? To prepare young people to actually go out into the world and be successful. I mean, I know so many young people that could use that right now. And I think it's fitting that that occur in church because, let's face it, without the Lord, none of us are going to be successful. I mean, we might make money, but that don't mean we're going to be happy. And anyway, doesn't mean things are going to turn out well for us. How about that? Okay, I know a lot of people with a lot of money that are absolutely miserable. Okay, so yeah, I think learning to be successful. And successful, I mean, okay, that's such a broad term. I don't mean financially rich or anything like that. I mean just that you have a good life. Wherever you end up at in the whole, distribution of incomes and all, whatever social class, it doesn't matter. Did somebody have a good life? And again, I really can't think of anything that could help young people that are struggling right now more than that. I think that would be more valuable than anything they could get from public education. Okay, they do need to be able to read, write, and arithmetic, but beyond third grade level stuff, which is about all I see them getting out of school now, I think actually being able to learn how to use some of that and become independent, productive, competent, self-sacrificing, that could change lives. Okay, so that's what I'm kicking around in my brain right now, and I will give this some more thought. I'll talk to my pastor about this. Maybe he's interested, maybe he's not, maybe my church is not interested. And one place that my church is struggling right now, we don't have many young people at all, and there's so many churches struggling with this. We've got an older congregation, and young people just, for the most part, are not interested in church. On Sunday, they want to be playing video games or anything but being in church. Well, I think part of the problem is marketing. Sunday school. Why would anybody call that Sunday school? Who wants to go to school on Sunday? Okay, so that just is a bad name right off the bat for a young person. So what do we do that young people actually want to show up for, that they're looking forward to it? And I think if done correctly, having something in place specifically for young adults, middle-aged people, whoever, elderly adults, something that actually helps them become more independent, more productive, competent, and self-sacrificing. Okay, am I missing anything here? And what would be a good way to structure this? Okay, I'm going to go eat supper now. God bless, and I'll get back to you on this one. Have a good evening.